feet. Or your mom and daddy will be buried. Possibly two. I'll go ahead and stand and have a pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brandon, if you would, go ahead and lead us to prayer.
Bow with me, please. Our Father in heaven, thank you for the beautiful weather we've had, the beautiful day, and the opportunity we've had to come together here today. Lord, just be with us as we go through this meeting, and may we do everything pleasing in your sight, Lord. Just be with us as we depart here and go our separate ways, Lord, and guide, guard, and direct us, and help us be a light in the community, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Before we get to turn it over to Tim, who's going to speak tonight about some prepping and stuff, we'll go ahead and May the 13th and 14th will be set up, or Jeff will, at the river bottoms for the Smoking on the Water.
Yep, Smoke on the Water.
And they moved the gun show in Muscle Shoals to the same weekend, so me and him will be there Friday, and then Saturday me and John will be at the gun show. So we'll be figuring all that out. And then Saturday morning, Tim Cox is going to be opening up his store, grand opening, and we're going to be there, set up with a booth there too. So
This Saturday.
yeah, that's this Saturday, 10 o'clock. And he can tell you more about that here in a little while. So.
Is there a limit on the free hot dogs?
Yeah.
Carlos might bankrupt.
Where's you gonna be?
What's it got to be made? It's in Center Star, the old Pure gas station. He'll be selling ammo and knives, and also he can tell you more about what all he's going to be selling. And so I think actually that's about everything at this moment. Tim, you want to come on up?
Hey everybody.
Hello.
So those of you that don't know me, I'm Tim Cox. And yes, I am going to be opening my store. I started a few years ago. I started doing what I actually call prepping. Or I started calling what I've been doing prepping. I've been doing it all my life. I think a lot of y'all have too. But I had gathered, one of the things I did as starting that out was I felt the need to hoard ammo. And Sandy Hook happened. And I happened to have a whole lot of ammunition at a time when people couldn't buy it. So my friends knew me, and they knew that I had a bunch of ammo, and they're like, dude, we're going to the range Saturday. I know you got some ammo. Give it up. So I was okay, cool. And I'd give them a little bit or sell them for what I had in it or whatever. They're my buddies. And they'd go to the range, and then their buddies would be at the range. Where'd you get the ammo? He may have a little bit, I'll ask. And then I started talking to people and delivering to people, and then somebody over here would say, hey, you don't know anybody that's got any 5.56? I've got a few 22s I need to trade. And somebody over here, you don't know anybody that's got any 22, man. I'd give anything for some 22. You got any 5.56? Yeah. And it just kind of went from there. So it grew and it grew. And finally somebody, some of the local businesses around here said, you know what, you really need to be a legitimate business. So that's what I did. I went and bought all the licenses, and I'm actually going to open the storefront Saturday. Free hot dogs, so please come by and get you a hot dog, check it out. I'm working on getting my FFL, it'll be about 3 months, and at that point I can sell guns. But the reason I'm here is to talk about prepping. I want to talk to you guys about why we should prep, and what it means to prep. About how long do you want?
Take as long as you want.
Okay, if y'all start getting bored with me, just somebody either raise your hand or throw something at me.
Just stand still. It's gonna get you.
Uh-oh, sorry. It's really hard for me to stand still. So, a lot of folks think about prepping and they're a little intimidated because there's so much that when you start thinking about what do I really need to do, you know, goodness gracious, you know, what if the Chinese attack? You know, we all need to run up to the mountains and holler Wolverine and you know, shoot the jets and stuff. Or what if somebody attacks the dam and we all flood? Or what if Brown's Ferry goes up, you know, and we all start turning rosy pink, or whatever happens when you know, the nuclear plant starts getting happy, and you know, just what if the power goes down? What if all the satellites get shot out? What if there's an EMP? What if there's a solar flare? What if there's this? What if there's that? What if there's zombies? What if the sky falls? How do you prepare for all that? Golly gee. Or that. Yeah, that was a fun experiment. So, the good news is that a lot of it doesn't matter. A lot of it doesn't matter what it is. As long as you're preparing, you're covering for 80% of what might happen. Now, true, if the nuclear plant goes up, there's a little bit of a difference in some of the supplies as opposed to all the dams breaking and the whole area flooding or us being attacked by zombies. But you still need food, you still need medical gear, you still need ammo, you still need a way to protect yourself and others. You need to have the knowledge and the skills to do these things. You need to have a network of people, you need to be able to communicate. The whole big pile of things all apply to all this stuff. So what I suggest is let's think of it that way. Let's think of what can we do to be more prepared next week than we are this week. Then we'll look at that and then we'll go from there. What I've been suggesting to folks, and it seems to be working pretty well, I'm working with several different teams, and with my team, it seems to work well. What we did was we said the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prep for 3 days, a 3-day emergency. Now, sometimes I say that and people laugh like, we're ready for 3 days, heck, what does that mean? Well, okay, fine. If you're at home, maybe. What if you're not at home? What if it's your daughter and she's at Tuscaloosa, like my daughter is right now? What if you're at work in Huntsville and you got to cross a couple of lakes and a river or 3 to get home? And all of a sudden there's no electricity and your car doesn't run or whatever. You know, how do you survive then? So you have to start asking yourself these kind of questions. But still, we're just talking about 3 days. So, in a 3-day emergency, start asking yourself, what do I need to either survive in place, and hopefully that will be home, or get to where I need to be, whether it's your location or whatever it is, whatever this place is you need to get to. 3 days, that's not bad. You're talking about being able to have drinkable water, enough calories to get you through, hopefully just a simple first aid kit, but if you have the skills you can certainly expand on that, a little bit of money, some very simple things like a knife, gun, some lead to go through the barrel, a little bit of duct tape, some really, really, really good shoes, a couple extra pairs of socks. So, you know, all that's the stuff you think of if you were just sit down and make a list and start going down the list. We'd all think of that stuff. What else is there? Well, if you're dependent upon eyeglasses or contacts to see, you better have an extra pair. If you're dependent upon medicine to control the way you're able to function, you better have extra medicine. If you have someone who depends on you for their livelihood or their health and safety, you better have whatever it takes for them. If you have an infant or if you have a real elderly person that you might have to move or whatever, you have to start thinking along those lines. But again, we're just talking about 3 days, so it's not so bad. There's a list that you can come up with, and the way I suggest you do it is you say, all right, I'm going to, we as our team or group or whatever it is that each individual gets together with, we're going to do our thing for us. We're going to look at our particular situation. And then you start asking yourselves, what are the things that we care about? What are the things that we need? What do we need to have? What do we need to get? What do we need to know, as in knowledge and skills? And you start gathering all that together. Once you feel comfortable with that, what's the next step? Well, I suggest a 10-day. A 10-day emergency is what you prep for next. And then the questions start getting a little different. So let's just imagine for a moment that all of a sudden right now all electricity in the South, the entire South, quit working. No current anywhere. No power. Completely in the South. So I'm sure the good old government would come along and help us out eventually, because they came in and fixed Katrina so wonderfully, and I have full faith in them and all that. Try not to laugh. But still, you got to think, even with best intentions, it's going to take, best case, 10 days for them, whoever they are, to come in and make things better. It'll probably take more. Best case, 10 days. How many days does it take for the people who live off over yonder somewhere but can still get here on foot, who don't have our beliefs and who don't have our moral fiber and who don't believe in the things that we believe in terms of right and wrong, and they start running out of their alcohol and their drugs and their food? How many days until they say, I'm going to go and I'm going to get it from somebody? How many days? I think if you're lucky, 3, but probably 2. But that's the 3-day distinction that we're making. So after 3, for sure, the crazies are coming out. Life is different. If you're talking about 10 days, after that 3rd day, life as you know it is going to be very, very different. If people believe it's going to be 10 days or longer. If the only thing is going to be 4, that's different. It's a different mindset. But if they think nobody's coming to help me, I'm going to take care of this myself. I know those people in this other subdivision that I can walk to, they got really nice stuff. I'll go over and get me some of it. All right, so let's talk about that scenario for a minute. I'm not worried about it. I got 8 adults, I got guns everywhere, got ammo, I'm good to go. You think?
No.
So what are some of the things that could go wrong? Well, first of all, what might happen is somebody may come walking up, assuming you live in a subdivision, or not necessarily a subdivision, but somewhere where there's a fair amount of houses around. Somebody might come walking up. It might be some pitiful looking 20-something-year-old lady with 2 really, really filthy kids, dirty, hungry looking kids, one on each hand. She's been crying. She's only got 1 shoe on. Her dress is half torn off. She's got some kind of blood thing going on. Not really sure what's going on there. She comes up. She says, "Hey, my babies are starving. I know y'all are good Christian folks. I need some food. What are you going to do?" Now, don't answer that, because I don't want to know the answer. That's up to you and the person you believe in, or the thing you believe in that rules all this stuff. It's between you and your God. But the point I do want to make is you need to make that decision now and not later. You don't need to make it then. You need to get your team together, and you need to ask yourself those kinds of questions, and you need to say, what are we going to do in this particular case? Now, you can't think of every possible case, so what's the next question you ask? How do we decide what to do when something comes up that we haven't thought of yet? In other words, you decide who's in charge of making the decisions. And whoever that is, maybe it's everybody, maybe you vote. Maybe there's one person, maybe there's a committee of 3, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's whatever y'all decide. But whatever it is you decide, you stick to it, and then you tell yourselves, these are the rules. Anybody that breaks the rules is no longer part of the team, because this is the team. Because what you don't want to have happen is for everybody to get together and say, we don't have enough of the A, B, and C stuff, so we've got to spend money prepping for that. So we're only going to get enough food that we need for us. So if somebody else comes along, we'll give them enough for a good meal, and give it to them, and say, God bless you, be on your way. If we see you again, it won't end well. If that's the decision you make, and then somebody back here is a little disgruntled about that idea, they never really bought into it, and then this happens, and then this person is on guard duty on the perimeter that evening, and that lady comes back up. Hey, I saw you looking at me. We're really starving. Is there any way you can get us more? How much food have you got? Well, we've got a lot, but bam, you're all dead. You're all dead. Your whole team right there. Your whole team, you're all dead. Because if I was a bad guy and I wanted to know who had a lot of food without having to attack people and have my team suffer, that's how I'd find out. That's exactly what I'd do. And then, if I didn't get the food, I'd burn your house down with you in it. Because I'm a bad guy. And the next person down the way, I'm going to go down to, and I'm going to say, you see that smoke? Here's what happened. Here's what's going to happen to you. It's a tough world after that third day. It's a little scary. It scares me. I know that. Because I believe there's people that actually think like that in our world. It's very unfortunate, but I think there's people like that. So, you have to start building a team, making decisions, agreeing on how you're going to handle things, and then worry about, do we have everything on the list for 3 days, 10 days? What's after 10? I don't know, how about 30? Let's try 30 days. So, what's the difference in prepping 10 days and 30 days? And the way I came up with this was I'd ask myself, what are the right questions to ask? One of the right questions to ask is, if you couldn't go buy anything, or you couldn't go anywhere to get anything for 10 days, what would you probably still have that you wouldn't have if you stretched that out to 30 days? Well, one thing that pops up in my mind is fuel. What about fuel? You know, assuming your vehicle actually still works, or some of your vehicles work, or your tractor still runs, or whatever, you know, you may have enough fuel. What if it's propane in your tank and it's, 20 degrees outside? You may be able to heat an area, but at some point, after 10 days, maybe 60 days, whatever it is, that's going to run out. So how are you going to get good water to drink? If you can't provide thermal energy and you don't have good water at your place, how do you get good water? If you can't boil the water, boil out the impurities, then what do? What are your options? Well, there's a lot of options, and obviously storing water is one thing, and you can, that's always good. You can always store it. That's just not enough. Because at some point out there, whether it's 30 days or 30 months or whatever it is, but at some point, you've reach a point where whatever it was you stored is exhausted. And you have to figure out what point in time that is. But my point here is somewhere around 30 days you have to think about, I'm going to have to start getting good water to drink. And what does that mean? Some folks will say, I'm not worried, because I live a mile from the river. Got all the water I need. Yeah, well, all right, let's make it a half a mile, and it's a creek. Let's make it a quarter of a mile past the, and I say the word perimeter, I just mean the edge of the place that you feel you can guard against the bad guys. When I say that, whatever that is in your area. Let's say a quarter of a mile, and there's a spring-fed pond. All right. So how many here have actually carried a 5-gallon bucket of water for over 100 yards? It ain't easy.
2 buckets.
Two buckets makes it easier, actually. Yeah, buckets of water and cinder blocks. Yeah, that's how you. Two is always easier, but it's not easy. If you're carrying 2 buckets of water, how easy is it to defend yourself?
Not.
Still, you water.
Yeah. So you need somebody to carry the water, and you need somebody to defend the person carrying the water. I would suggest 3 people defending the person carrying the water. Because I'd like a person in front and I'd like a person in back, neither of which were visible, hopefully, and then a person that walked right alongside that guy. Maybe you got a little red wagon you can use. That might help. Maybe you got horses. That'd be great. Maybe you got a 4-wheeler, but again, you know, that fuel's going to run out eventually. But how are you going to get the water? How are you going to get the water without risking getting hurt while you're getting it? And while you've got these 1, 2, 3, or 4 people going to get the water, who's back at the place protecting all the other stuff? Because remember, we're talking about 30 days. So a lot of the crazies have already taken care of each other, but there's still a lot of them that are out there that are hungrier than they've ever been in their life. They're more sober than they've been, than they can remember ever being. They're really ticked off. They don't really much care what happens to them a week from now, but today they want some food in their belly. And it'd be really cool if they could find, you know, something else that would be fun for them. Whether that was liquor or drugs or human entertainment or just whatever it was that these kind of folks would like. You have to protect all of those things. You have to protect all of those things all the time. So let's talk about that for a second. How are you going to protect everything all the time? If you're, let's say you live out in the middle of nowhere. Don't have to worry about the crazy neighbors. You just have to worry about somebody either knowing about you and where you live and coming to find you, or just folks that happen to you know, blunder across you. How are you going to protect what you have? Well, when do you need to protect what you have? Let's start with that. All right, the question there immediately becomes, when do you not need to? The answer is never. You have to always protect everything you have. Well, how's that going to work? So let's say you've got a building about the size of this main open room here, and it's sitting on an acre of land. And then there's woods past that. How are you going to protect that? So, again, if I was a bad guy, and I had come across this, and I'd already done my 3 to 4 days of, assuming I had the food, of sitting, watching what your habits are, taking notes on how many people you have, what kind of weapons I see, what kind of guards you have, what their patterns are, what the relief is, what kind of skills it looks like folks have, what kind of health people have, that kind of stuff. And then I'd figure out, okay, is it worth it to do some sort of a stealth attack, or do I send in, you know, my poor 20-year-old beat up young lady with 2 kids, what do I do? There's no way to protect what you have against somebody like that all the time. And that's a heck of a thing to say, but it's the truth. You can't keep somebody like me, except a bad guy, from taking what you have, unless you have enough people to provide security. Now think about it. I'm talking about an acre of land. At the very least, you've got to have somebody in each corner. You've got to have somebody up high. You've got to have somebody, if there's a gate, you've got to have somebody watching the gate. If you have radio communications, you've got to have somebody there. And then, how long can they stay alert? 12 hours! 12 hours! No, of course not. You can't stay alert for 12 hours. A lot of people can't stay alert for 4. So when you start doing the math, you realize, all right, so I've got 12 adults in my house or whatever, and you realize that the math just doesn't work. So when you think about wherever you're going to be for 30 days, if you can't protect it, it's not yours. And a lot of these houses that are just out there somewhere, they're not protectable like they are unless you have enough people on your team to expand your area and keep the bad guys from getting to it. That's really, really hard to do. So another way to approach that is, all right, well then we can hide somewhere, or we can have maybe 2 locations, and we can have, you know, guards and perimeter patrols and that type of thing. So anytime we have an inkling that somebody's heading our way, we're going to boot scoot out of location 1 and go to location 2, live to fight another day. Well, that's fine. It's a great plan for one time. But the second time it happens, you got nowhere else to go. So it's one thing to say, I got tons of MREs, I got tons of water stacked up, I got a truckload full of Band-Aids, and it's entirely something else to say that you're prepped, because you're not prepared to protect what you have. And at 30 days, the crazies are out there, and they're looking for you. All right, so let's go ahead and jump ahead to 90 days. So let's say that we've really put some thought into it, and we've done a lot of cool things about getting our actual supplies. We've got some skills. Everybody's, you know, first aid certified. There's a couple folks that have actually, you know, practiced cutting on a pig or whatever, or sewing up. I guess the cutting part's easy, but sewing up's the hard part. And you've got, you know, some folks who are, you got somebody who's, at least one who's a really good mechanic. You've got some folks who are young and strong, and they can really, how you doing? You got some folks who are young and strong, and they're really good at, you know, at building things or whatever. You've got folks who are really good at growing and preserving food. You know, you've got your team, and you've got it figured out for security and all that. So let's talk about 90 days. What happens, what's the difference in 30 days and 90 days for prepping?
You gotta think about replenishing.
That's right.
Help ain't coming. At 90 days,
Yeah.
help ain't coming.
That's
You
right.
already it.
Exactly right. At 90 days, everybody gives up. It's my opinion. Not, I don't mean give up, but I mean give up on help coming. At 90 days, if you're at 89 days and you don't think help is about to come, then most people, I say, make the decision that we are really in this for the long haul. And at that point, if you don't have communication with people outside of your team, with other like-minded teams, where you can barter and help each other with whatever it is you need help with, if you can't have those avenues of communication and help, then I don't think you're going to make it much longer, because there's just too many things that can go wrong. All right, let's jump ahead real quickly to 12 months. Sorry. So what happens, what's the difference in 6 months and 12 months? 12 months is a whole calendar, all the seasons, which means 12 months, you got to grow food, you got to preserve food, you have to make sure that all of the nice edible plants and things, when they're in season, that you get them. If there are waterfowl that come flying over at a certain time, you need to know about that. You need to know about anything really that has to do with gathering food, when the best time to gather it, when the best time to prepare it, how you can prepare it, how long it'll last once it's prepared, because 12 months includes a winter, and we're going to assume that the winter is really, really, really nasty, and we're going to assume that it's at the end of the 12 months, so all your fuel is gone. So those of us who have slept outside when it's 20 degrees know that is not any fun. You can call it camping or whatever you want to, but when it's 20 degrees and you're laying on a cold on the ground, the fun may have been the day before and the fun may be the next morning, but the 20-degree part is not really fun. Now, if you do that day in and day out, and you've got little kids there with you, and you can't keep them warm, then that's a problem. So you have to make sure that you have a way to keep everybody warm. 10 months into a 12-month emergency, even the little ones. If somebody gets sick, how are you going to handle that? You've got to keep them warm and dry. So wherever you're at, you know, if you've had to leave your place because you couldn't keep it secure, and now it's winter, you know, what are you going to do? I hear people all the time say, you know, I'm not worried about it. I'm not on prep. I've been a hunter all my life. I've been a fisherman. I can trap. I can eat squirrels if I have to. Ain't no big deal. I'm like, well, that's pretty cool, Daniel Boone, but I don't think you can do it. I don't think the average man or woman can go out there and survive day in and day out and stay healthy enough where every single day they're able to deal with whatever nature has for them, and that includes all kinds of things. If you slip and you sprain your knee and you're by yourself and it's 20 degrees, it's going to be a bad day. So, you know, this rosy picture about, well, I'm going to live off the deer and I'm going to, you know, kill all the neighbors' cows and whatever, you know, okay, fine. If that's your approach, then good luck. Good luck. But it's not realistic. If you don't plan ahead, if you don't prepare, then good luck. So let me spend just a few quick minutes talking about some things that I've personally discovered that I think might be useful. And also, before I forget, on Facebook, there's a group called North Alabama Prep and Barter. Get on, if you're not a member, just get on Facebook and request to join. Go to the files section. There's over 100 documents on there. It's all free. You can download some really, really cool information on there. For example, there's documents like for when there is no dentist and for when there is no doctor. There is prenatal care and emergency situation. There's nutritional guidelines for a family of 4. There's all kinds of really neat, even things like, you know, wartime surgery and just all kinds of cool stuff. It's all free. A lot of them are government and military documents, but not all of them. It's really cool collection of information. So let's go back to the very beginning. There's a few things that I think would be very helpful for y'all to think about. For example, let's say you're at home, all the power goes out. What does that mean? all the power goes out, that means you don't have water at your house from a public utility. Because the pumps that push that water aren't working. Well, so how can you save as much water as possible? Well, think about it. Let's say you're in a neighborhood. Okay. If you're in a neighborhood and the road that you're on goes like this, and you live here, all of the water and all of the lines, at the moment that the power shuts off, is still there. All the water in the lines in your house is still there. But the first time you turn on your water faucet and somebody downhill from you turns on theirs, their bathtub, and they're filling up their bathtub because they got to get all the water they can. The water that's in your line is going to go down, gravity fed through those pipes into their bathtub because their bathtub is lower than your faucet. Well, how do you prevent that? You go out to the main water meter and you turn off the water supply. Because that not only blocks the water supply if everything was working, but it also captures all the water in your lines. So you now have all that water saved immediately. All right, what about lights? One of the coolest things that I've discovered, those little solar garden lights. I think you can get them for like $1.25 at Walmart in the garden center, probably especially this time of year. You set them out like next to your sidewalk or whatever. They got a little square solar panel, and they'll glow all night long. It's a rechargeable battery. Those things are absolutely awesome. We actually used those. We were out of power, I don't remember, 8 days, 9 days, whatever it was, when those tornadoes came through Clements. And we had those, and I had them set aside for that specific purpose, and we used them. And that's how we lit up our house at night. It was really cool. You know, we didn't have to mess with candles, although we did. We had some candles that we used, but we didn't have to because we had plenty of light. Those little camping solar shower bags, the ones you fill with water and then you put out in the sun, they heat the water really well. You can take a shower, you can take an outside shower that's very comfortable, and you don't have to expend any energy heating the water. You simply lay it out there and let the sun do the work, assuming, of course, the sun is out. Think about your batteries. If you have several flashlights and several things that use small batteries, try as much as possible to consolidate so that you have the same size battery and use that for everything, and then just stock the heck out of it. Paracord, I love paracord. Does anybody here not know what paracord is? Because I'm about to change your life forever. Please, somebody, anybody. Yeah. All right. So, I'm sorry, I get excited. So, paracord is the stuff, the cords that go between the parachute and the guy swinging. All right. They're the thing that keeps him from splatting on the ground. It has, I believe, it's a 550-pound test, the military spec is. You have an outer sheath, and then inside you have, I believe it's 7 strands, individual strands, and then each one of those strands, I believe, unwinds into 3, maybe 4, but it's 3 or 4. So you can continue to break it down as much as you want to get as fine of a piece of string as you want. But at the same time, if you don't, then you have a 550-pound test piece of cord. So anywhere between 550 pound and whatever that smallest thing is, you can use that for snare wire, for trip wire, for fishing, for all kinds of things as you break it down. One more thing. Let me say one more thing. A lot of people ask me about MREs. I don't recommend MREs, except I think everybody should eat one at one point in their life because they're so delicious.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
And if you ever, well, I won't tell it here because you folks just ate, but there is a trick you can do with MREs if you're about to do like a long range patrol or something, to control certain things about your body. But anyway, you can don't just buy MREs and stash them away. What you want to do instead is think about your nutritional needs, what you need for yourself and the people on your team, and then either make or get a lot of that. And you can come up, there's some really cool ways to have food that's preserved just as well as an MRE. Personally, I do for my home location, I do the Mylar bag with the oxygen absorbent, and I do things like rice and salt and pintos and sugar and dehydrated milk and just stuff like that. And I've got some things. It's probably been that way like for 5 years, and I'll still of course I rotate it all, but I'll bust into it and it's just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't. The taste isn't funky or anything like that. But do go to North Alabama Prep and Barter. Check out those files, and I will also repost. I've got a document that's got a lot of information about storing water and food, nutritional information, and that type of thing. And there is a group. I can't remember now what it's called. North Alabama Prepping Project. That we're in the middle of basically prepping for a 12-month period, not as a team, but just as a group of folks who all individually want to make their situation better, and we're just coming together to help each other with information and ideas and stuff. So if you're interested in that, let me know, or you can get on the North Alabama Prep and Barter and just post there. I'll go ahead and wrap it up. Are there any questions? Anything that I didn't cover that I should have covered, or anything I covered too much, or we all bored out of our minds, or?
I got one for you.
Yes.
Most of us have a bag. Some of us call it a get-home bag, some of us call it a bug-out bag.
Yep.
At our house, all our bags are different. The kids have kid stuff in their bag. Cindy has more first aid stuff in her bag. I have stuff in my bag to plug bullet holes in me and put bullet holes in other people.
Yep.
But where do you, for somebody to pack a bag, where do you reconcile between how much you can actually carry and how much you would like to be able to carry? Because I know, like my bag, the kids ain't moving it.
Yeah.
Cindy ain't moving it far.
Yeah.
I'm not moving fast.
So that's an excellent question. Let me talk about that for just a minute. So first of all, the first thing you said, some people call them bug-out bags, some people call them get-home bags. That's two different use cases. It's two different functions. Your get-home bag means something happened, you weren't at home or whatever your location is, and you need to get there. So that's the purpose of that bag. It has a specific use case. So think about it. You're at work or whatever the most likely worst case is you can think of, and then say, okay, I can't use my vehicle. There are a lot of folks out there that are trying to steal whatever I have. Can't trust anybody I don't know. Let's just go ahead and make it cold and wet just for fun. And I got to get home, and I got to get there as quickly as I can, because the other bad people are going to be around my house, and I got to get home and protect the stuff that I love dearly. So then you think, what do I need? Number one, you need a really, really, really good pair of shoes. Don't ever assume, this is a great use case here, great example here, that what's on your feet is what you're going to need to get home. You need a really good pair of shoes. Comfortable, heavy duty in terms of holding up, but not heavy. All right? And then you need whatever you need to stay healthy, safe, and well fed. If you can do that, you can get home. Okay? You got to stay healthy, you got to stay safe, and you gotta stay well fed. And when I say well fed, I also mean hydrated. Okay? So those are the three things. So have a way to get potable water. All right? I hate carrying water. I despise carrying water. Instead, I will either carry a way to take water that's not safe to drink and make it safe to drink, or I'll do something like the life straws or whatever, you know, where it's just an instant fix, you know, but something like that. But I don't want to carry around 3 days worth of water. You know, I just don't. That's not how I operate. Not around here. You know, I'll find water. I just have to be able to make it drinkable. Another thing, if you can't provide thermal energy, if you can't provide heat, and it's 20 degrees and wet, then you're in a world of hurt. You have to have the skills and the tools to start a fire when it's raining. And if you don't, if you're not 100% sure you can do it, then you can't. I promise you that. If you're not 100% sure, if you haven't gone out there when it's raining and started a fire, then you can't. Because the first time you try it, you're going to fail. Something's going to happen. You didn't realize the wood was that wet, or the water went that far into it, or whatever. Something's going to happen. Your daggum matches, oh crap, whatever. Oh, this little thing, it's not really working because my tinder keeps getting wet. Well, I can protect my tinder from the rain, but I can't really get enough heat to get the other stuff going because it's damp. And I can't keep everything dry. And, man, I guess I'll just start. You have to know how to do it. The only way to know how to do it is to do it. So get out there. If you really want to be able to survive out there, you have to know how to start a fire. Now, if your solution to that is to carry around 20 of those big honking Bic lighter things, I don't mean the regular ones, but you know, the ones that shoot like a little jet plume or whatever. You know, I mean, if that's your solution, that's fine. That's fine. But if you can't, I don't care how you do it. You know, I don't care if you buy a smoke bomb. Smoke bombs are great for starting fires. I know, because as a 9-year-old boy, I burnt down, or not burnt down, but burned up a neighbor's garbage can. I won't tell you where I live. But seriously, I mean, there's a lot of ways to start a fire. You just have to have the ability to do it. So then, let's say you've got a husband, a wife, and 2 kids. Let's go ahead and throw a dog in. All right? Because you want the dog for security.
Chihuahua or Great Pyrenees?
No. I want a big dog.
Let me take a big boy.
2 reasons.
Rebel be on his own.
Why do I want a big dog? Why do I want a big dog?
A loud bar.
Big bite.
All right, well, that's good. Number one, because they're big and scary, hopefully. Hopefully I didn't get a poop. All right? So, number one, because they're big and scary. And number 2, right, and they can carry their own gear. And number 2,
Tastes great.
exactly, when things get bad, there's more meat on them. That's why I want a big dog. And there's a lot of people looking at me right now like, that guy is horrible. Yeah, okay. All right, so how about this? There's you, and there's your 4-year-old beautiful young child. Hadn't had food in 3 days, and there's your dog. You tell me.
Bye-bye.
Both. So, here are my rules. Every person carries their own supplies. There's a couple reasons for that. First of all, obviously, if the child can't walk, if they're so young or whatever, that doesn't apply. But you know, if you're able to walk and carry a backpack, like a school backpack, you can carry your own bug-out bag. Every person carries their own supplies. That includes the dog. Okay? Whatever food the dog does not carry for the dog has to get himself. Okay? That's how that works. You're not giving your food to the dog. You're not giving your child's food to the dog. Your child carries whatever your child needs. It means you your child carries something to drink or a way to get it and know how to use it, something to eat, and one of my very favorite items, and every child needs this, it needs two. It needs one in their bag and one that they wear whenever they're not within eyesight and earsight of mama and daddy, and that's a big, loud whistle.
Oh.
Okay? Because whistles are really, really cool. And you teach that child that any time, at any point in their life, they're ever uncomfortable for any reason, they will never, ever, ever hear an angry word from you because they blew the heck out of that whistle until somebody came running. Ever. Never get mad at them, never admonish them, never chastise them. They can blow that whistle as often as they want. And whenever something bad is about to happen and they blow that whistle, like that's the best money I ever spent. And they can be little, and they can hang on a necklace or hang on a belt loop or hang on a backpack as long as they know where it's at and they know how to use it. And then you put one in their bag and it's dedicated to the bag. You don't take it out and use it somewhere else and then forget to put it back. So they need a whistle, they need a flashlight, one of those little snap tubes that, I forget what it's called, but it's a snap tube that glows, the glow light
Glow
thing.
stick.
Thank you, the glow stick. I love those things. First of all, they're just fun and kids love them, right? But if a kid gets lost and it's at night, you've got a piece of paracord, love paracord. If you don't know what it is, ask me because it's awesome. About this long, tied to the light thingy. They hold the cord and they swing it. It'll make an arc of the bright green or pink or red or whatever that color is. It'll make a beautiful arc that you can see a mile away. So you tell that kid to get out there where it's tall and where there's not a bunch of stuff blocking them. If they're lost, they blow that whistle and they swing that thing for 2 minutes at a time, and they sit down and rest, and they do it again. If there's two of them, they take turns, and they never stop. And they just do it until somebody finds them. So, little things like that. But the children carry what their supplies need to be. They carry their own first aid kit. They carry their own food. Why? Why is that so important that everybody carries their own stuff? I'll tell you. Because it's a crazy world, and there's going to be events and situations that we can't plan for 100%, and there's a good chance at some point you might get separated for a little bit. And if you do, then each person is going to need their stuff. Not somebody else's stuff, their stuff. Now, another thing I do, talking about the weight. The bag that the bag that you pick, first of all, you've got to get out there and wear it and make sure it's comfortable. But the most important thing to me is that the load-bearing part of the bag is on your hips, not on your shoulders. So I like the ones with a big padded waist. You set that on your hip, because I've got a bad back. I've got a bad lower back. I got run over, literally run over by a pickup truck when I was 20 years old. I've got a bad lower back. But I went to the Marine Corps with that back, and I can hike for, I don't know how long, I guess until I get tired and quit now. Because when I'm carrying stuff, I put the weight on my hips. And the shoulder straps are simply to keep the thing from falling over. It's all it's for. The weight is not on my shoulders. The weight's on my hips. So I'm more center balanced, and I'm not struggling all the time with, whatever. Also, in my bag, I have my bag, I have stuff in the bottom of the bag, and then I have another bag inside that with other stuff, and it is the bag that, God help me, if I had to run, I'm not a good runner at all, but if I had to get away quickly, I could dump the big bag, pull the smaller bag out, and go with it, and it has the absolute essentials. Not the, that's probably an essential, but the absolute essential. It doesn't have 100-foot hank paracord. It's got the 10-foot hank. Doesn't have the big honking Bowie knife, but it's got a knife. Doesn't have 4 flashlights, but it does have one, etc., etc. Also, you have to think about what happens if you're out yonder and you do meet someone and that someone becomes your ally. It could happen. Or let's say the husband loses his bag and the wife's like, got you covered, hubby. You take your bag, you take the little one out, you get the big one because you're stronger, but you now still each have a bag. So think about it in terms of compartments and use cases about what would I actually do with the bag, and then make sure that each person has a way to defend themselves, a way to stay safe, a way to stay healthy, and a way to stay well-fed water. And then whatever you do, don't overload it. You're going to want to. There's always room for one more thing. But here's a question you ask. Again, it's cold and raining. You've been walking until your shoes are literally about to fall off of your feet. So it's been, what, 3 weeks, something like that? The place of safety and security and food and all that good stuff is at the top of this hill. You've got to climb up 1 mile to get to the top of the hill. You've got your bag. What one thing, when you're sitting there thinking about what to put in your bag, what one thing would you want to add to that bag to make it heavier? Knowing you're about to have to climb that 1 mile hill. Think of it that way. And a lot of times you'll decide, you know, this cute little thing I bought at Dick's Sporting Goods in the camping, I don't think I need it. I think instead, and this will be my final point, I think instead I'll find something else that I already have that'll serve 2 purposes. So you have redundant usage. And one of those things, I'm going to leave at the house and only pack the one thing that can do both. Okay. Anyway, I think that's it for me. I appreciate your attention. Yes, sir.
On the weight thing,
Yeah.
what I've always done is I lay out everything that I know that I'll need, and then I get a bag just big enough for that. If you get a big bag, that's when you start throwing unnecessary stuff in there, and that's when it gets real heavy.
Yeah.
So get everything that you know you'll need, and then you get a bag that's just big enough to hold that stuff, or you'll end up with an 8-pound backpack.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Tim.
So again, Tim has got his grand opening on Saturday, so if you got one of those bags and you don't have enough stuff to make it too heavy, come out and see him Saturday morning. At the, what was it, the old fuel station?
No, the Pure
The old
gas.
Pure station out towards Center Star. It's on
And
the
Tim,
left-hand side.
You will be carrying prepper supplies that can help them get
Yes.
anything they need.
Absolutely, yes.
So,
And you open at what time?
Do you just want to come talk about it, or just whatever?
And you open what time Saturday morning?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, 10 to 6.
10 to 6, this coming Saturday.
Highway, it's just past Outpost 72, probably a half mile past it on the same side of the road.
Just, me and Carlos will be out there, roll your window down. When you hear Carlos, start slowing down. It's about a mile up.
Free weenies.
Free, oh my God.
Guys, we decided to do something different on our raffle tonight. We all wanted to do something to say thank you to Officer Berry, Brian Berry. He's back here in the corner. You can come up here, everybody can turn around and see where he's at back there. See, they shot him in the face, not the leg. He can get up here. Most of you probably know, what was it, a week ago? Over a week.
Last Sunday.
About.
Last Sunday,
About.
on duty, got shot in the face, still managed to shoot back and administer his own first aid. So Anything bad I ever said about him, I take back. Okay, most of it. But anyway, what we're gonna do for our raffle tonight, we have a mystery box.
Oh.
Can't tell you what's in it.
Shake it. It has stuff in it.
It does have stuff in it. I can't tell you what's in the mystery box or it wouldn't be a mystery box anymore. But we're gonna sell $5 raffle tickets for the mystery box. You get the box and what's in it. All the money on our raffle tonight is going to go to Officer Barry. We're gonna send him to a steak dinner or whatever he wants to go to.
Ooh, all the way to McDonald's.
Woohoo!
Now,
Not McDonald's.
I've donated $25. Carlos has donated $25. Brandon Kyles has donated $25. So we know he's up to at least $75 so far.
Where's the thing?
Yeah.
So,
Carlos.
if anybody wants a red ticket, Carlos has got them.
Red ticket, red ticket, anybody want red ticket, red ticket, red ticket?
Come on, guys.
Let me
you
guess
need to get
that
shot.
bullet's on the mystery box.
Oh.
Cindy, where are our door prize tickets?
Ask Megan got them. I don't have them. Megan's got them.
Megan's got 'em.
While Carlos is doing that, does everybody have a blue ticket?
Yeah.
Everybody's got a blue ticket? These are the door prize tickets.
Hang on, wait, whoop. Look, 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 look. No, no, no. I need 2 red tickets.
Two red.
I only have one. What? The kids only have one to pay a tattoo.
I only got daddy's.
We'll go ahead and draw for our door prizes while Carlos is handing those out. We've got a couple of flashlights and a jump box that Carlos donated from Double O Welding.
You want to go?
I brought the mystery box. And since tonight's meeting was on prepping, I brought you, this is not an MRE, it's an emergency ration. I've kept these in my bag for years, and I'll be honest with you, I've never been brave enough to try and eat them.
Is that what it was?
I don't know if we should give this to the winner or make the loser eat it.
That's difficult. Hang on a second, baby. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Hold this one. Hold it just for a second.
There you go, draw. Okay, blue tickets. Last 3 numbers, 939.
What do you want?
Mine. Well, come pick what you
I
want.
raised my hand first. Snooze.
You know how it works.
Hang on, just.
What's yours is hers, and what's hers is hers.
Yep.
I'm gonna leave.
You gonna make him eat it?
Hey, that's
Post the
perfect
video,
for doghouse.
please.
That's perfect wherever he gets in the
I've always
doghouse.
wanted to know if they were really edible. 938.
928.
938.
No, they don't get one.
Hang on. Here. You want to go upstairs and get draw, and then I'll
Let me
give
shake
this
it
to your
up.
mommy, okay? Go up there with Lena, okay?
Lena will help you.
Flashlights or jump box? Okay, draw one out. Not from that table. Different table.
Hey, Susan's still over here.
913.
That's over there. Don't know who that was.
Just take your one.
Take her flashlight, that's all we got.
Get the money. It's just a flashlight, baby.
Lena has it.
All they have is a flashlight.
You want to draw a number?
Charge it up and it'll. No, I have actually one.
Just reach in and get one.
Get one.
He did charge it up.
Just one.
You charge it up and it'll jump
Here
your
we
car
go.
off.
Hey, look, I started leaving the wrapping paper on it, okay?
Hang on.
940.
No.
Anybody have 940?
Got it. 938, 939, and 940.
Huh?
Something's askew there, Jeff.
He got it.
One left? Oh,
Tim got it.
now he's got another flashlight.
934. You didn't get nothing. That was it. We're done.
Does everybody that wants to buy a red ticket have one?
And once you get charged, still in your glove box, you take it through, I think it's your cigarette lighter, and it's supposed to, it'll jump it off one time, and then you can.
Basically runs the current back through your electrical system.
Who did this? I don't know, but when I
Y'all have to forgive us, they made us count, and we're busy taking off our shoes and everything. Here's my 25 that goes in. Is this the...
Okay.
Everybody's got a red ticket that wants one, right?
Just got to over if it needs.
You gonna draw this one? Now listen, you know the rules. If you don't pick the right winner, all the ones that don't win get to line up and vote.
And that's what I'm gonna let myself do that.
Hey,
Oh, no.
hey, but this
I got her
time,
where she won't get away.
hey, but this time whoever wins the mystery box might actually want to beat you.
Here, go ahead.
That's never good.
Well, me and Jeff made the mystery box.
Remember, it was her, not me. Her.
Red ticket. Last three numbers, 115.
Take this in the bathroom and open it up. Go ahead.
We will sort it out.
I think she wants the box.
Ceiling fan, hang from the ceiling fan.
Hard to look like shotgun.
Yeah, we will buy, yeah.
The whole family's cat.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a big, it's got a real stretch. Honey, if I got young kids, that's all I got to pay.
Yeah, everything, you can't do anything else with yoga pants.
Me and the holster guy was working on it, but he came up with another one. Somebody he'll wear yoga pants off, so. Yeah. Yeah, it's real, you can strap it like this. It does, Velcro. But you wrap around your ankle, you wrap around your thigh, you wrap your stomach, you wrap your butt.
Thanks everybody for donating. We ended up with $185 for Brian, so.
That'll need you, McDonald's.
His pretty low pay for getting shot in the face.
Well, look, we're just glad that he's okay, and after a couple of days, he's able to walk around and be his normal self.
There you
We
go.
heard some rumors that he was showing up for work that night.
I did.
They didn't actually let you do it, did they?
I didn't show up for work, I just went to work to let them know I was all right and everything. So, I mean, I wasn't in uniform.
Do you want me to stop
I was just gonna say, cause I think that would be good state policies, wouldn't it?
It's moved.
One more thing to
We
go
just
along,
glad you're okay.
one more thing to go along with this $185. Got one of our Shoals
There you go.
shirts. 3X, right?
That'll work, man, I appreciate it, thank you. Thank you, man, I appreciate it.
Glad to do it. And if anybody else wants a shirt, we have all different sizes of those. They're 18 without a pocket or 20 with a pocket. Go ahead.
Take some money.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
It's awful dark out there, Brian.
I really appreciate it, y'all didn't have to do this, I wasn't expecting this when I come here, I actually had an off night.
Imagine.
I usually work every Tuesday night, so that's why I haven't been coming here lately. I didn't have any idea that y'all were gonna do this. I greatly appreciate it.
You're not really mad if we didn't take care of one of our own in the group that got shot. I mean,
I'll take that.
Oh, he's just one of us, he don't count.
he don't dodge either.
Hey, he did pretty good dodging now, that's it.
I think that's a pretty good dodge right there.
That's it.
But you know, I really appreciate this. Like y'all didn't have to do this. I don't really know what to say. Like I said, I just come out to support the group.
Don't do it again.
Make it believable.
I do appreciate it.
We appreciate you being out there.
Thank you. Yeah.
Brian, don't do it again.
I'm gonna try not to. I'm try not to. That's it. I appreciate it.
Thanks everybody for coming out. Our next meeting will be the last Tuesday of the month at the Mama Jean's on Cloverdale Road. That's next month. Don't forget, we'll be at the Smoke on the Water Festival and we'll be at the gun show this coming month. And this coming Saturday, we'll be over at Tim's. So come out and see us.
The smoke on the water is not this